The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for medical guidance. Never delay seeking professional medical advice or emergency assistance because of our podcast. We encourage consulting with a healthcare professional before making any significant health changes. By listening to our podcast, you agree to the disclaimer. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy. Hey, messy people. Welcome to Everything's Messy podcast. I am, of course, your messy host, Sarah. Welcome to the show. We've got a lot of things to go over. I'm not having a guest this week. There's a lot of things that I sort of want to get off of my chest, so we're just going to kind of go back to the beginnings of how we used to do things around here. Although I do hope that you are enjoying all of the guests that I've had, some experts I've had. I hope they're giving you lots of information and things that maybe you've implemented already. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking and feeling, but I'm going to bring this just a little closer to home and just kind of give you my take on some things, and I hope that it will be beneficial and add value to you. Here we are coming up on 4th of July. It's one of my favorite holidays. I really, really love the 4th of July. It represents so many things to me. Obviously, our country, love for our country. Thank you to all of the servicemen and women out there who have served and their families. What a sacrifice they make. And I've always said how thankful and appreciative I am of them. And even though we're celebrating the birth of our country, I still think they deserve a shout out and a thank you. And, 4th of July to me, I've got some of the greatest memories growing up of 4th of July. It's a sense of unity, family, traditions that we may have had that sort of carry on now as I'm the mom and trying to instill that patriotism into my children. And just, the hot summer nights with the fireworks and, really, and we didn't know it then, or I didn't know it. You think about the food and, I'm always trying to go the healthy route. The food that maybe we had with the picnics and the barbecues growing up maybe wasn't the best. And I think if you can take it in stride and have balance, I think having that food, it'd be okay. Because it really wasn't about the food, even though some of my memories are about the food, right? Hot dogs, hamburgers, barbecue, potato salad, the Cool Whip, dessert that has the strawberries and the red wine. Of course, we know Cool Whip is full of seed oils. And so now trying to go forward and make some of these things and making, better decisions, better for the family. But I think it just represents this overall sense of coming together as a family, as people, as one country. And I just think that's so important to celebrate. And so I hope you guys have a wonderful 4th, very safe 4th. And I hope it invokes good memories for you as it does for me. So, okay, I want to get into a little bit about uncomfortable space. And I've been feeling this uncomfortableness. And I think part of it is I'm growing. I'm growing as a podcaster. I'm growing as a mom. I'm really getting into this health journey that I've tried to soak up everything that I can possibly soak up. And some of the things that I'm learning is in order to grow, it's going to be uncomfortable. The journey itself, it's hard. It's not easy. And I think a lot of times we say that, but I think we just kind of go through the emotions. We don't really understand. It can be very challenging, both physically and mentally and spiritually. And I think sometimes when it all comes to a head, if you have all three of those things that you're trying to grow in, it can be challenging. And it has been for me. And some of the things that I'm noticing in my uncomfortable space is kind of trying to turn back and revert to some old ways because that's what I know. And there's this, body of water, if you will, that I'm trying to wade in that is new things, but I so desperately want to go back to the old body of water because that's what I know, that's what I'm familiar with. And I want to expand and I want to learn and I don't want to have a fixed mindset. It's really amazing to me how easy it is to have that fixed mindset, how easy it is to get into our things that make us comfortable, things that, we know, what to do with it. Anything going forward that's out of that comfort zone, it's scary. I don't want to do that. My body likes routine. My body likes to know what's coming. I'm very, type A OCD, and I need things around me that, in theory, I think I'm controlling, which in actuality, I have no control over, but that's how my body feels safe. So these new things that I'm learning, these new things that I'm trying to learn, that I'm trying to sit in with, it's just been a very uncomfortable space. And it doesn't necessarily mean I'm hating it. It's just making me really uncomfortable. And I'm excited to pass the threshold over to the other side. It takes a lot. And sometimes the familiarity is really, really tugging on me. Now, that's not to say that I'm, everything behind me is not going to be in the present with me, but there's a lot of things I've had to change. Some, was for my own good. Some I learned along the way. Either way, I've always been the type of person that, good or bad, I hate change. Who likes change? Who wants to have any part of that? I don't. So the uncomfortable space is just something that we have to push through. We have to get to the other side. And I do want to get to the other side. Like I said, letting go of a fixed mindset. And, I used to be one of those people, oh gosh, I thought I was so open-minded. Yeah, not really. I have to either learn the hard way or be taught the lesson a few times. It just doesn't come naturally to me. I want to, and the older that I get and the more I go down this journey, I feel like I am becoming, having an open mindset or a growth mindset. But, old habits die hard, and I am no spring chicken. That is for sure. So speaking of chickens, I know this is a weird segue, but I read that because an egg is considered a superfood, which I absolutely love. There's so many vitamins, nutrients, everything that we need is in an egg. 3 eggs a day is supposed to be optimal. And you can get that anyway. Hard-boiled, scrambled, however you want to do, but 3 is supposed to be optimal. Now, mainstream medical conventional people will tell you that's too much cholesterol. You don't want that. And we've talked about this on the show before. Cholesterol has become such this bad word, but we're slowly learning it's not bad. We need it. Our body needs it. Our mind needs it. So be very careful of listening to the conventional thoughts of cholesterol is bad. And always, always remember how we talk about they have moved the goalpost for what is supposed to be a good line, a good number for cholesterol. That's absolutely not true. And you really need to be looking at your ratio of good to bad of cholesterol. That's what you really need to be looking at. Even then, if you are fit, if you are healthy, if you are eating most of your foods from a raw or organic place, whole foods, that's, where you need to take inventory at. If you are physical, they used to say 10,000 steps a day. Now they're saying 13,000 steps a day. I don't know what the difference is in those 3,000 steps, but I'm taking it to mean movement is best. Don't ever stop moving. And I think we sleep better when we move. I know our body likes it better when we move. And that could look like anything, but you need to be moving. And that is something that I have had to sort of push myself to do, especially in the 100-degree heat or more. This weekend is supposed to be crazy. And I'm sort of a baby because I know in other parts of the country, it's much worse because you're dealing with humidity. And I would take a dry heat over the humidity any day. I know there is a big controversy about it. I'm telling you, I don't want the humidity. Not for me anywhere. So as we look at all of these things that are happening, one of the things I do want to mention is I have really committed. I started tracking my habits. Any habit that is important to you, I completely recommend that you start tracking your habits. Pick 3, pick 5, pick whatever is important to you, and just start seeing your routine, your habits of what you're doing daily, and track the most that are important to you. Don't overwhelm yourself with 10 or 12 or all these things that you may not need. But tracking your habits has been really, really instrumental for me. One of the things I'm tracking is my water intake with salt water. And then I add lemon for some flavor. Now, there is some things about that they talk about. The lemon can hurt your enamel on your teeth and things like that. I guess I don't. I'm trying to look at the benefit to risk, and I'm thinking the lemon is okay, at least for right now, what I'm trying to accomplish. You guys probably have other means of that or, takes on that, and that's fine. And I'd love to hear about it. But I have noticed first thing in the morning, 16 ounces of water to a quarter teaspoon of salt, and throw some, squeeze a lemon in there. And I am more energized. I am more focused. I feel good. And that's really big for me because you have heard me talk about, being a Diet Coke addict. And I think I was having, I don't even want to say the number. It's rather embarrassing, but needing that caffeine and then not even, kind of becoming immune to the caffeine, and then just by habit, just drinking Diet Coke after Diet Coke after Diet Coke. And I didn't realize how incredibly dehydrated it was making me, and I was still doing it. And I didn't realize, the headaches, all these things that were happening. Now, some of that was other things, yes, but a lot of it was attributed to the Diet Coke. And one of the things I have read is even coffee. There's a lot of coffee addicts out there, and it completely dehydrates you and it strips your sodium. So here's another bad word. Everybody thinks sodium is so terrible for you, but that's not true. Sugar is terrible for you. And if you're eating the sugar along with processed salt on a chip, yeah, that's terrible for you. But sodium is an electrolyte that we need, that we have to have. And in fact, it's a carrier. And what I mean by carrier is, along with the water, the sodium helps open up your organs and your muscles to receive that water. And so if you don't have that carrier, you're drinking and you're drinking and you're drinking, you're probably not as hydrated as you can be because you don't have the carrier, the gatekeeper, if you will, to get that water into your most vital organs and your muscles. And our muscles need the water as well. And it's amazing to me, something so simple. Now you have all of these fancy electrolyte drinks out there, and I've tried some of them and it's fine, but it has been rather easy to have my lemon cut up already the night before. I'm ready to, grab a slice. Then I grab the quarter teaspoon of salt, and I use Redmond light salt. And there's no benefit here. I'm just telling you which one I use. And it's from Ancient Sea Salt, whatever. I think it comes out of Utah. It's really great though. I really like it. But that's not what I use on my food. On my food, I use flake salt, and I believe it's Maldones or Dones or something like that. Maybe Maldon, something like that. It's green and white. And I really like the flake salt on my food. But for the drinks, it is the Redmond Electric Relight. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, I recommend, even if you're just new and want to track something, I recommend starting with the salt water and the lemon and just pay attention to how you're feeling during the day. And just see, did you feel a little more focused? Did you really need maybe not the third cup of coffee, you wanted the first two, but if we can start replacing it with salt water, I really feel like you're going to see some benefits. I think it's really important. Now, again, I can commiserate with the caffeine addicts. I was one. Never, ever, ever, you can ask my family and friends, I never thought I would be Diet Coke free, but I am. Now, that's not to say I don't have one every once in a while, but I noticed I don't it was an addiction. I needed it. I couldn't walk around without a Diet Coke in my hand. And that's so funny because there actually is some truth that they say that is, whatever the chemical is in Diet Coke that does make it addictive, because they want you to buy more, right? It also, even though it was Diet Coke, it was messing with my blood sugar in two parts. The fake sugar, or, the chemicals that they make the fake sugar with, on top of the caffeine. You're reading something that's diet, you think, oh, I can have that. It actually was not. It was wreaking havoc on my blood sugar. And so just completely cutting that out really made a difference too, among other things. It wasn't the only thing, but it really helped with that. So I think it's important that even if it's not the salt water that you want to track, find something you want to track. Find something that you can visibly see, maybe quick results, maybe something that might be a little slower, but see if tracking it, however you want to do that, writing it down, doing tally marks, however you want to do it, see if you're building something stronger, something more memorable, something that you can obtain. So those are things that kind of keep us moving in the right direction. We talk about motivation, we talk about self-discipline, but actually seeing the habits that you're completing every day on paper, there's something powerful in that. There's something powerful to your psyche that says, oh, I can do this. And now I want to get up tomorrow and prove to myself again, I want to do this again. So I think that's a really good idea. I wanted to share with you. I think, again, pushing ourselves through that uncomfortable space is really important. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is, I believe in it, I do, but I did want to add, sometimes, especially if you're scrolling on social media or you're looking at different fitness sites, you see the underlying tone is, well, just lift weights, stop drinking alcohol, and everything will be just dandy. Now, that's a big part of it, yes. But for women, that's not the whole part. And I suspect even for men, that's not the whole part. Now, it's a big part of it for either gender. But I think with women, we've got hormones, we've got different things going on, we've got age, we've got stress. And I'm not saying men don't have stress. It's just a different kind of stress. And I talk about this all the time. Stress in women is not only cumulative, there's a 1 in 3 chance for a woman to suffer a cardiac event. That's huge. It's not talked about enough. The symptoms that you might feel or that you have been told are the norm doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have something going on. And in my case, doesn't mean that you're not suffering from a massive heart attack and I had no symptoms. So I think it's really important that while, yes, I'm a big believer in lifting weights, I'm a big believer in no alcohol, I'm a big believer of a whole foods diet, big believer in movement, salt water. I mean, you name it. Those are just, you cannot refute the evidence that shows me and myself and just everything that's out there. I think we're missing how much hormones play a role in what we do. I've often said, men are like the sun. They rise and they set every day like clockwork, no questions asked. And that's great. They need that energy. They need to keep moving. That's what they do. Women are like the moon, different phases, different cycles. You may not know who you're going to get depending on that time of the month. It's, mirrored with how the ocean acts because the moon makes the ocean act up and we're in that cycle of just here comes another phase of whatever, cycle you may be in personally. And I think making it sound so cut and dry, making it sound so black and white, I don't think is fair. And I think there's a lot of things that we should consider. Now, I don't think we should use those things as an excuse, but the more we know about it, the more we can learn about it, the more we can recognize and be self-aware. Oh, I know this mood that's coming. I can see it. Or now you know how to self-care. Now you know what to go do to make sure that you can be okay with whatever's about to come. And that's hard to get to. I still struggle with that. But I think what adds to it is all of these outside estrogen things that are coming into our bodies and our bodies are trying to fight them. And we are just stuck with all of this extra hormone that we don't need and needs to get out and needs to get out. The estrogen dominance, crazy rates of women in this country would blow your mind. In fact, I encourage you to go look it up because it is unbelievable. And that's not even getting into, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. It's just strictly to say estrogen dominant through the makeup, the hair products, the food, nail polish, cleaning supplies that we use. We are inundated with so many chemicals that our body absorbs. And if you look back on history, we're dealing with things that other generations of women never had to deal with. And so we have to be extremely cautious and extremely self-aware of what's adding to that estrogen. And it's, trying to be completely estrogen free, I know is very difficult. It is everywhere. But if you can get some of these products, some of the food, just recognize what they are and what they're doing to you. And there's a bunch of lists on the internet of symptoms for estrogen dominance and, how to go estrogen free and all of these things. And I will tell you, it's not easy. It is not easy, but I think it's worth it. I really do. And I'm still working on that journey for myself as well. And I think you'd be surprised at just how many things are an endocrine disruptor that would cause your body to make more estrogen. It really is surprising. So with that, let's see, we've done uncomfortable space. We've done the salt water. I've mentioned to you a few of the products that I use. One more thing that I think is significant in mentioning. I am so grateful to have this platform. I'm so grateful to be in this space. The creative space is still new to me, and I absolutely love it. I really do. I don't want to lose sight of what this podcast is about. And this podcast is a space to talk about autoimmune disease, chronic illness, the things people are doing, where they have found their strength in their mess, and how they've come out on the other side. That is really, really crucial. The guests, some of them experts, some of them not, some of them just telling their stories, I feel like those are value because I want you guys to have the tools that you need. I hope I can also add value. But this show doesn't happen without the messy story. And I can only tell my messy stories so many times. So if you have a messy story, if you're suffering from an autoimmune disease, if you're suffering from a chronic illness, if you figured out something for yourself that was a trick or a tip and you're like, I want to share this with people, let me know, reach out, talk to me. I want to hear your story. Now, we have not stayed exclusively to autoimmune disease or chronic illness because there are all kinds of messy stories out there. The one thing that I'm seeing that I'm loving is it unites us. And people, while it may be a sad story, most people like to hear the outcome, which is the strength that you found and how you're doing now. And I think that is part of this community. That's what sets us to sit down and sit with it. And I hope you can feel like you can relate and that you identify with maybe some of the people that I've had on the show. And you can identify with even me of, thinking everything was okay and it really wasn't, and having to relearn basically everything. Some of you are probably smarter than me and didn't have to do that. I hope this brings you something. I hope when you listen to the show, you're like, yes, she gets it. Because I do get it, and everything is messy. And again, this journey has been so fulfilling, but also frustrating. And I'm certainly not ever going to tell you I've got it all figured out. Again, I've said before, I am not the beginning picture. I am not the end picture. I am that black line in the middle or the space in the middle because I'm still on my journey. I hope your journey and my journey, we can connect, share it, help somebody else in their journey. That's what this is about. So you know where to find me. You know what to do. I'm so excited to keep going. We are almost to our year anniversary, which I'm really excited about. And good things are still coming. Got lots of plans. And thanks for sticking by, listening to the show. Again, reach out if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. And thank you so much for being a part of the messy community and listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Keep it messy. Hey, thanks so much for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. If you enjoyed the mess you heard here today, you wouldn't mind leaving a review or maybe a follow. I will even take a messy comment or otherwise. That would be awesome. Social media is where you can find me. I am on Instagram and Facebook at Everything's Messy Wellness. Website is at everythingsmessy.com. Email at sarah@everythingsmessy.com. Reach out. Let me know what you think of the mess. I welcome any and all feedback. If you think you have a messy story and you would like to be a guest on my show, you can find the guest form on the website. Thanks again for listening to Everything's Messy podcast, and keep it messy.